You're listening to Cattywampus.
If you win, you're the champion. And the next round, everybody has to try to find and kill the champion. But it's called Apex Legends, not Apex Champions.
Well, they tell you during the opening cinematic that if you want to be an Apex Legend, you have to survive.
What? There's no opening cinematic.
Corey, relaunch your game.
I did.
Turn on the cinematic.
There's never been a cinematic.
Is there a plot
100%.
to Apex Legends?
Yes.
I'm confused. Is there lore?
Yes.
There's lore that explains
There's
why
a-
you
There's
can
a
have.
cinematic.
Can I find a
No,
wiki?
there's a cinematic. There's like a tavern where all of these people who kill each other all the time go.
You can literally have 20 of the same person on an island at once because that would have to be the basis for the lore. Because we all know there's always 20 wraiths.
Yeah, and in Overwatch, it's somehow both Watchmen, and yet everyone's still kind of young, and everyone's fine, and on the same side, but not.
That's because their lore sucks.
Story is hard.
I don't think their intention was story. I think their intention was
Then they should really stop doing it.
esports money.
They feel like when J.K. Rowling tweets, and it's like, by the way, this is canon, you're like,
Well,
J.K.
they need
Rowling, what are
more.
you doing today? The sock that Harry gave Dobby was a cum sock.
They
this snake was always intended to have a tragic backstory of being a woman. And I'm like, oh, really? So when you wrote that 7th book and had that child murder that snake heroically and everybody cheered, you knew that. You knew that then. This person had a secret brother, and the age doesn't make any sense.
What was that? What was Albus's brother's name?
He has
It's pretty fucking forgettable.
he has a secret brother too.
The goat fucking one.
No, it's Ezra Miller.
Well,
That's the revelation of Fantastic Beasts, is that there was a third brother.
Fantastic Beasts is not canon.
Yes, it is.
No.
200%. It is.
She is literally the
She
screenwriter,
literally tweets random facts about
which
characters.
is canon, apparently.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
If she writes it, then
No.
it's her world. She made
Yeah,
it.
she gets to do whatever she wants. It's George Lucas all over again.
Oh my god.
Well,
you're right.
actually,
actually,
why is that my George Lucas voice? He's
No,
got
that's
I
on
don't
the
even know
nose.
what the fuck
That's
he
right
sounds
on
well,
the nose.
actually,
Actually,
I always intended for Chewbacca to know Yoda.
Well, actually, it takes Chewie an hour to come. That's the kind of shit we're getting from J.K. Rowling.
Say what you will about George Lucas, but he never got on Twitter and was like, "Let me tell you who fucked who in Star Wars."
I guess.
Anyway, that was Sphere.
So yeah, you guys ready for this?
So Brian has this shelf, and one day while we were watching something that I'm sure was high quality.
Con Air.
Oh yes, Con Air on our long road to Mandy.
We'll get there,
gets
Brian,
longer.
I promise.
We promised. Brian was like, Con Air. Brian was not pleased with Con Air. He was particularly upset by it.
Definitely not fun.
And since I was not particularly engaged in the film, I just started looking at Brian's shelf, and I noticed that he owns not just bad movies, but weird movies for anyone to own. Movies I've never seen people own.
A lot of mistakes have been
A
made
lot
in
of
my
mistakes.
life.
We're not going to tell you what they are because you're going to see a lot of episodes about them in our new series called Brian's Shelf. And today we picked the two most related ones we could find, which were two sci-fi classics. And the first one was the 1998 Barry Levinson film Sphere, starring Dustin Hoffman and Sharon Stone, Samuel L. Jackson, based on the Michael Crichton short story? Book?
It was a book. It was full
The
of
book.
Okay.
It's like 400 pages.
Has everyone read the book but me?
No.
Oh.
I can't read.
I read the synopsis of the book while we watched the movie.
So Brian is doubly versed in Sphere.
I had to know which one made more sense.
I mean, I gave you the,
The
option
answer
to
was
read the book.
probably neither.
Yeah.
Corey, you love Sphere.
You're a spearhead.
I love round objects.
You love Sphere.
I like round objects. Yes.
For
Go on.
Corey, ball is life,
What,
right?
what is
Give me-
Could
I'll-
you start us off on the spear cast?
what's Sphere about?
We find an alien ship in the ocean, somehow only 1,000 feet deep, and it has a sphere inside of it that projects whatever you're thinking into reality. That's the shortest version of the movie I can give you.
Well, there you go.
That's all you
That
need.
really actually was.
I just skipped you 2
a
hours.
complete synopsis
2 hours
of
and
the film.
15 goddamn minutes.
Yeah, about 45 minutes too long, really.
Yeah.
I'd say 2 hours and 15 minutes too long.
I mean, you could definitely do that in 5 minutes.
Sphere should have been a painting I could look at.
From my understanding, every creature or animal, whatever that you see, as a projection of the sphere from your subconscious, can do basically whatever it wants to do. It is it's like except underwater. Whereas if you're afraid
And
of
not
it,
scary.
I'm
It wants
afraid
to
of
be
it. So
scary.
here it is, and it can do whatever it wants to me.
Almost everybody dies, but the 3 people that aren't dead at the end.
But they
But
don't.
the three most notable actors in the film.
Yeah. But at least they don't like fuck about it and then leave the sewer. At the
What?
end of at the
So
end
he's
of It.
referring to the book It.
Yes.
How the book
Oh,
It ended,
yes,
yeah.
where they, well, that's
Where
not.
they,
Yeah, let's not go there.
Oh, the
That's-
sex, yes, the
Yeah, where
sex
they run-
ritual
yeah,
to
they-
make them
they-
adults. So
yeah,
that
they run a
lose their-
train and then leave the sewer.
Press
It's
X to
supposed to
skip.
calm their fears.
Yeah, so yeah.
Stephen
that-
King, what were you doing?
Cocaine.
Fair.
It reads better as a book, but
no, it doesn't.
it does. It does.
I-
Are you talking about Sphere?
Sphere.
Okay, I was like,
I-
Oh, not it. Oh my god. It's so
you're talking about
fucking
Sphere, right? Right,
It-
Corey, right?
It is
Please
so
say
fucking
yes.
long.
I do think Sphere would probably work better as a book because you could tell that nobody wanted to be there. The acting was so boring. Like even when they were like in somebody's about to die, they have to help them.
Yeah, it was.
They're
It was,
already
it was a little. It
dead.
was a little bit Willy Wonka. Help,
Yeah, like-
murder, please.
Don't forget about our favorite transitions every single time we had a climactic build-up.
the-
Oh no, something just really big just happened and fade to black instantly. Here's an overlay.
The only
Yes, there's a title card. It's cut together like an anthology film, but it's all the same story.
And it skips around a good bit.
there was
baffling.
nothing interesting about this movie.
This movie makes Event Horizon look competent.
What was the purpose, I guess, of the time travel? Why does that even matter
Well,
in any
doesn't.
context?
Was there time travel? Did we
Yeah.
determine that there was
Yes.
time
There was
travel?
absolutely time travel.
What was
Because
the time
ship is
travel?
So it wasn't an alien ship. It was an American vessel that had got
From
inadvertently. Yeah,
350 years in the future.
I don't even think it was 350.
It was. It was three. It was
Yeah,
three
they
to
traced it.
300 to 350.
No. It was three. Basically, it was from 2047. It got caught in a black hole after it had picked up the sphere, and then it ended up traveling back in time 300 years.
I don't think any of us watched the same movie.
No, it went back in time and crashed in the ocean 300 years prior to the movie starting, and
You
then
notice how I'm not
47 years
agreeing or
after.
disagreeing with anything anyone says. I'm like
47
okay.
years after the ship, after they do this thing with the sphere, that's when the
Wait,
first spaceship goes up.
Did this?
Right.
Did the sphere work on us? Are all of us having like weird mental like memory losses?
We should all hold hands and tell ourselves
No,
to
we
forget
just-
Sphere.
What's going on?
I,
As
bel-
this movie ends.
I believe it had something to do with the retard button.
So there's a button in the movie that just says retard, and obviously they're referring to the color contrast of the image, but it was so prominently featured it just kept making us laugh because we're children. Like, I understand it's a real thing, but I'm like, you should rename that button.
That button shouldn't be called that.
Culturally speaking, we really can't, even though there's a usage for the word, you really gotta like,
This was a 98 movie release.
yeah, it was not a sensitive time,
No, it wasn't.
but it thought it was.
It wasn't a sensitive movie.
Yeah, Dustin Hoffman's a real prick to everybody.
He wasn't even acting at
Yeah.
that point.
The-
Well,
way
he's
he
a
was-
psychiatrist, and so literally his whole thing in the movie is just to look at people and basically be like, "Well, why do you think you're being wrong right now?"
Yeah, he was really in your face with a lot of people. Very confrontational.
Did they ever explain what that woman did?
Sharon Stone.
Yeah,
Yeah, she tried to.
She's a
tried to kill
she's a
herself.
marine biologist.
but what? No.
No,
Oh,
she-
not what is her
There
trade.
there
What-
was like this weird.
yeah,
thing
she tried to
the-
kill herself. She OD'd on her pills.
So-
she has a
So he spent the
disorder.
entire movie being like, "Did she tell you what she did?"
as a psychiatrist, he's really cruel to this
Yeah.
woman who clearly has mental issues.
Yeah, he's like, "Hey,
He's unnaturally mean to
By the
people
way-
he's literally devoted his life to helping.
I thought that was so weird. I was like, what did she like cheat on him? Like what did she do? Like that
Cheated
that's-
on him with the grim visage of death.
Yeah, like what the
Hippocratic oath, more like hypocritic oath.
Get out.
By the way, guys, you see this woman right here? She tried to kill herself. I'm her psychiatrist.
I'm a doctor.
Oh,
What's HIPAA? I don't know.
Well, she wasn't my patient, so fuck her. You know, like, what is like? Yeah, like it was weird. So, Sphere, directed by Barry Levinson.
Toys.
Ah, that's
Toys
right.
was the movie.
That was the movie that brought back terrible memories.
Yeah.
And
So,
one good memory.
had I known that he was responsible for Toys, I would have said no to Sphere, and we wouldn't have watched
And
it.
yes
Brian,
to toys.
it was on your shelf.
It was
you
on my
purchased
shelf.
this film on Blu-ray.
You gotta have the highest quality of trash.
It wasn't
Yeah,
there a
it's
disclaimer
true.
card inside of the Blu-ray that said, "This this has been restored to the best level of quality available."
We tried our best.
Yeah, it's like
We can't
don't-
fix the movie,
your
but we
disc
can
isn't
make it look
broken. We
okay.
tried.
God damn it, we tried.
We tried. Don't be mad.
The movie's poster should have come with that when you walked into the theater. Like, attention, we made this film to the best of our ability. God damn it, we tried. Please be kind.
If they didn't literally copy the fucking book into the script, it might have might have had the potential to be
from
better.
the synopsis that I read, they more or less did copy it. They missed out
I
on
know.
they missed out on a few things, but this is no Jurassic Park.
They trimmed out,
This is-
Which is a
believe it or not-
drastically different film.
Yeah.
Believe it or
than
not,
the
they
book.
trimmed out some of the unnecessary details to make it only a 2 hour and 15 minutes.
Fuck you. There's so many unnecessary details
I
in this
thought you'd
movie.
like that.
Every detail in this movie is unnecessary. From the retard button all the way to the end where they have to hold hands and Sam Jackson goes, "You're still holding my hand." As if like Dustin Hoffman's gonna kiss him, which would have made the movie better. But
It's because they forgot what they were doing. Like, no, you're holding my hand.
you're right. I guess basically the movie ends with two leading men going no homo to each other and then directed by Barry Levinson.
Hey, bro, no homo. Let's get out of here.
And then in 40 something years, they build a spaceship and it goes
And it
finds
repeats
the
the
sphere.
process
and,
again.
yeah.
Yeah, so the sphere's gonna. So the sphere
it?
left at the end of the movie. The sphere left our atmosphere, went back into space. So we're gonna find it again, and the sphere is just gonna keep cycling.
Bootstrap paradox.
But like, why does the sphere want to do that?
Because it's fun.
Yeah, like I'm not concerned about the paradoxical parts. I'm concerned about what's the sphere's motivation.
I'm not
according
Michael
to
Crichton, but you
according
should
to
ask
Dustin
him.
Hoffman, it's an emotional
He's dead.
child.
No. So when they were talking to this sphere,
Yeah,
they were talking to Samuel L. Jackson,
who is the sphere at that point?
who
He has
apparently
the subconscious of the sphere influencing
apparently
him.
they are all the sphere.
Yeah, but-
apparently.
Yeah, so why does the sphere want to
Apparently.
come now that the sphere's done this? Why the fuck would the sphere come back to do this again?
Because the mission in 40 years involves the ship finding articles like the sphere and bringing them back to Earth. But they take a wrong turn.
So you're saying they kidnapped the sphere. So this sphere is tortured, trying to get out of this causal loop.
Actually, yes,
Yeah,
I think that's
basically.
exactly what this is. The real victim of this film is
It's the sphere.
The poor sentient sphere, which creates...
I take it back. This film is fantastic.
I think
It's not a hopeful film.
This movie to me feels like, what if you took The Thing and made it like absolute shit?
Like John Carpenter's The Thing?
Yes, because
Ooh,
it's
okay.
because technically it is all of them. They don't know who to trust. They don't know what the fuck's going on. But they never play on that, and they never do anything
Yeah,
right.
I was going to say, like, yeah, you're technically right. The movie is technically about a paranoid who can you trust thing, but you never feel that
Never.
tension in the movie on
Never.
any level.
So Corey, I think you're the only one here that has read The Sphere.
Oh, I read
Oh,
it when
really,
I was
Steve?
a kid.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
okay.
What was your childhood like where you picked up the book Sphere?
so tell me,
My father was distant.
if you can remember, how did you feel about Sphere then?
I thought it
my
was a
pappy's
fun read.
Did
It
it
was a perfectly cromulent book.
did it play out the same in the book? Because from what I read on Wikipedia, I read the Cliff Notes.
It's like a lot of his books in that they're...
It's
Oh.
really focused on the science and the how this is
Yeah.
happening and less so on the drama. And it can be a little dry and boring, but at the end, if you like that kind of stuff, it's a fun read. The thing is, that doesn't translate very well to the big screen.
It could, but that movie
It could.
had no
Jurassic Park
science.
proved you could, but if you took
Jurassic
Jurassic
Park's so
Park
different, though.
and did to it what you did to
that's-
Sphere's book as a book as the source and made it into a screenplay the same way that you did it with Jurassic Park, it probably wouldn't have been as bad a movie. Or vice versa, Jurassic Park would have been boring. Yeah, believe it or not, it can be pretty boring.
Well, Jurassic Park changed the character dynamics really drastically because I think Michael Crichton's weakness was it's not so much that he didn't focus on the characters, it's that his characters were poorly constructed and often really, really kind of simple archetypes that really didn't have any depth.
There's a pattern here. There's a
Oh, yeah,
pattern. but-
technology's evil, and the only good scientist is one who hates his own profession.
Prey and Congo. I think I read them all back to back, and I noticed by
Congo.
Oh, I
Congo.
forgot about Congo.
The
What
term
a
Congo?
I've
You don't know-
I've seen
there's a
Congo.
pattern.
What a
there's a
piece
fucking
of
pattern.
shit.
God,
There's a
Tim
pattern to
Curry
the
with
books,
that accent.
and there's a pattern to the movie adaptations. It's always the same type of cast, the same type of main characters, right? The same general arc occurs.
Rather watch Operation Dumbo drop.
Yeah.
So yeah, I stopped reading
I'd rather
Michael
watch
Crichton
the
after
Sergeant
Congo.
Bilko movie.
Congo made me not want to read him anymore. That was the end of that little
I read-
fray.
So you never read Eaters of the Dead?
No.
I read Jurassic Park when I was a kid. I do remember it being more violent, more like gruesome than the movies,
It is.
but I couldn't tell you.
Although
about
the
fucking-
Lost World book is a sequel to the movie and not the book.
that's
Which
awful.
is strange.
Basically, the studio and Spielberg convinced him to write the book, and he was just so lazy about it that it's literally based on the movie. So, like, characters who died in the book but lived in the movie are in the Lost World book. So it's as if the movie happened in the book sequel.
That's weird.
That's Michael Crichton.
Yep. Hey, it's better than Timeline.
Ugh. Fuck, did he write that?
Yeah, he wrote that.
Oh, God.
It's an awful movie.
Jesus.
So he gets one, and then we're out.
Pretty much.
But
It
yeah,
seemed
I mean,
like.
Steven Spielberg. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if Steven Spielberg wanted to make Congo, it would have been good, and it wouldn't have been a fucking bunch of puppet suited apes.
Yeah, they made that to a movie, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
Amy Love, dude from Nip Tuck. I don't remember his character name.
Amy loved Nip Tuck.
I remember the ape's name is Amy, and they've put like a pack on the ape, the puppet, the suited child probably, so that when it signs, it speaks in like a robotic voice. So it's like Amy Love, and then the dude from Nip Tuck is like the guy who,
Amy
He's like,
loved
gotta
Ray
go.
not Julian McMahon. That's all I can tell you.
God damn it! I didn't realize he made Timeline. God,
He wrote Timeline. Yeah, he wrote the book. Yeah.
Jesus, Timeline was such a piece of shit.
His other big one was the Andromeda
Wasn't
Strain.
that Paul Walker?
Congo?
No,
Oh, Timeline? Yeah, Timeline was Paul Walker.
I've never heard of Timeline. The end
Archaeologists go back to the Middle Ages.
sounds dumb.
Did read the Andromeda Strain. I remember. Yeah.
Andromeda Strain was his big hit. It was his first big hit, I think.
Was that a movie?
And that was a
Did they make
made-for-TV
a movie?
movie.
They made a miniseries, yeah, TV miniseries out of it in the 70s, and then I think they did another one in the 2000s.
Yep.
But they were miniseries.
Just random questions.
Both
Did
were
you-
Also, he wrote the movie Westworld.
Ah, makes sense. Random question though. Did you ever watch the show V?
Like from the 80s or the ABC reboot from the 2000s?
Both.
Yes.
you ever
I mean,
watch
I don't know
that?
why I said which one, because yes, I have watched both. I was one of 6 people in America who watched the V reboot. It
Yeah,
I did
watched
see the
it.
V reboot. It was awful.
Yeah.
was not good.
I just for some reason you guys were talking about Andromeda Strain and like TV
From back then.
miniseries, and I'm like, yeah, sci-fi. Oh,
No,
V.
lizard people.
Oh yeah, V.
Yeah,
Yeah,
lizards.
the Raelians.
Oh no, the lizard people must
a
have made Mark
weird show.
Zuckerberg very nervous.
Does he believe in lizard people?
I assumed he was a lizard
Oh,
person.
yeah.
So I would be very nervous too. They're on to me.
I meant to ask, like, what do you like about Sphere?
Mostly the sphere.
Yeah.
The sphere is what does it for me.
The sphere's not on screen. Audiences should be asking, "Where's the sphere? What's the sphere doing?"
when was the book written? I guess
1883.
1987.
it really does.
was
To
close.
me, it feels like a mix.
I was
of,
like 500 and some odd.
The Gilded Age.
it feels like this weird blend of it and The Thing, but nowhere near as good as either.
But I don't see the parallel.
The paranoia of who can you trust and
Right,
who's the
because
sphere, which
it-
the movie doesn't really dramatize
They're-
that very well. So
they're-
until he said it, I would have never made that connection.
It's a group of in The Thing. They're not scientists, are they? Or
In
some
The
of
Thing?
them, yeah.
Well, yeah, some of them.
Some
Yeah,
of them
it's
are,
it's
yeah.
a science
So
station.
it's the same concept. It's a group of people that are trapped in a location, and then they are being killed off, and they don't know why or by what. So they become paranoid of each other, and it's the same general idea. But in The Thing,
Pretty loosely constructed idea. This.
It's basically the same as Agatha Christie's, and then there were none.
Glad you said that title.
I mean, I don't think he wrote that book and released it. What, the year after?
No, I don't
Action
think he
Company or
wrote
something?
Agatha Christie's, and then there were none either. I don't think
Wouldn't
Michael
that be a
Crichton.
terrible book?
I don't think Michael Crichton ghost wrote
I guess I
an
don't
Agatha Christie book.
I don't see anything in Sphere that makes me say I like this. Like
It's kind of spooky.
Other
and
than
it's
your
a mystery.
ownership of it?
And it's a mystery. So that's what I
That's-
kind of liked about it.
that was clearly a mistake, and that was
Clearly a mistake.
that was my first time
That was
ever
the last
actually
in
watching
judgment.
it.
Yeah. We did play Frisbee with the Blu-ray, though, which was fun. I had a lot of
That
fun.
was good.
Yeah.
That was the
Yeah,
best.
we
The minute-
also might have built Legos while the movie was playing at a certain point.
The minute the movie was over, I pulled it out of the Xbox and I threw it at David.
The minute I forced us to look at the time code of the movie and realized that after an hour and a half there was still 45 minutes left, I believe we began building Legos.
100%.
Yeah, Sphere has to be the worst thing we've watched since we've started this cast, and that's saying something.
It's certainly the dullest Finn we've ever watched.
It's the first time we've built Legos during a movie.
That's true.
We should maybe buy more Legos.
Lego
We should.
cast.
It's very therapeutic. You really feel like you've done something.
Something for 7 to 12-year-olds, yes.
Yes. They're for all ages.
No, actually, it said 7 to 12.
Why would
I
Lego?
di- disagree.
You're going to jail.
Why would Lego cap me? Why would Lego cap their product? Can't it just be 7 and up?
I saw the
I
second.
don't know. That's what doesn't make any sense.
I saw their last movie in theaters. I'm allowed to play with their toys, but I can't go to the Lego store without a kid. Apparently.
Yeah, I can't go to
That
Legoland
is
without
true.
a child present, and that's fucked up.
Yeah, they need to have like
Really?
Adult
Is there-
Swim.
They actually do have nights that are specifically for adults.
Is there a
Yeah.
Legoland on the
Yes.
East Coast?
Yeah.
No.
No, Legoland,
Yes.
the theme park.
Florida.
No.
Florida has some kind of Legoland down by
There's
the,
a Legoland theme park in San Diego. It's a park.
So it's not a park per se. I went when I was a
Ride
kid.
the Lego coaster. Don't sit in these seats. They're bumpy and uncomfortable.
But no, there was I went to the space station in Florida when I was a kid, and there is
The
some
space station?
the space station with
There's
all
a-
the aliens.
What?
John
Not,
Kennedy?
Yeah,
I
John
believe
F.
that's
Kennedy
called
space.
NASA.
You went to NASA?
John F. Kennedy Space
Center.
Center, whatever.
Center,
the
yeah.
fuck.
Because a space station
I went
is
to the
in
moon.
space.
I went to the moon.
Typically.
Don't ask questions.
That's no theme park. That's a space station.
I took a Falcon Heavy up to the ISS and chilled for a week when I was a
Look,
kid.
I had a
That's no space station.
I had a very
That's a
interesting
gift shop.
childhood. I'm not allowed to talk about it. I had to sign a lot of paperwork.
Oh, you were Spy Kid.
But anyway, I was
Are
actually
you Agent Cody Banks?
no, I was actually Shark Boy. But anyway,
I heard Lava Girl fell on hard times.
What did you do to Lava Girl?
but no, so there is a Lego something next to that space center, whatever.
Keep wanting to say space
I
station.
know, I can't help it.
There's just a giant pile of Legos.
I wanted to
next
believe,
a NASA
as a
facility.
kid, that
Near space stations just crashed on a coast in Florida and people just walk up to it.
Even though I love Samuel L. Jackson, other than one part in this movie, even he couldn't keep it like.
I liked his golf shoes.
We
He
already
looked dressed.
established why he was wearing that.
He looked dressed like he had literally just come from the golf course, which for anyone who doesn't know is a famous thing Samuel L. Jackson puts in his contracts that he gets a day off to golf.
Yep, and it literally looks like they were just like, well, I'm sorry we have to call you in today, but we have to. Okay, but I'm not going to try.
It feels like the kind of move where he showed up from golfing and the director was like, no, wear that.
Did you guys ever
No,
see
like-
Good Morning Vietnam? That was a good movie. All right, let's
Hey,
start
hey,
rolling.
I made Rain Man, a movie no one remembers now.
He had the part where he was saying something about how they're going to die. He knows they're going to die because that ship is from the future, and it just makes sense that they're going to die.
Because it's unknown, but if it's unknown and it's from the future, that means they never made it out.
Right.
Going
Is
to
what
the
he
black
did.
holes
And
is an
and
unknown
that
event.
the delivery of that line was great. And then he turns the light off, and then you end the scene. But instead, the
turns
camera
the light off
stays
and he
on
keeps
him,
talking.
and he's like, "What did he say?"
He was
Like-
just like, I really want to go in the
he's
sphere.
like, "I just want to go.
I just wanna
inside
go
the
in that
sphere."
I just want to go inside the sphere. And at first, I think I even said it out loud. I was like, oh, that must be ADR. But then Dustin Hoffman goes into the next scene and goes, well, he specifically told me he wants to go into the sphere. And I'm like, no, that means you knew you needed to get that line.
David, you forgot the critical part here. He turns the light off. He says, I just really want to go into that sphere. Cut to black.
it goes to
Title
the-
card.
Yeah, and
More
it's
title
just,
cards.
it's just the worst fade I've ever seen.
And now
Well, they're quick fades. They're so like
They're
when
not quick enough because you can see it just.
that's what I'm saying though. Like, so when you're for anyone who doesn't know, when you're editing, and you time out a fade, typically speaking, fades should go a few seconds, so you register that the image is going away. These fades are 2 seconds long, so they're very jarring, and I don't know
sometimes the
why they're
audio-
doing that.
They,
the audio
and-
gets cut on a couple of them.
Well,
Yeah.
the way that they do it, if they want to do these title cards, they shouldn't fade to a title card. They should cut to a title card.
Or they should be really ballsy and just put it on the image. Like they should have shot it knowing title cards would be in it.
What's
So
weird is
shots
they do
could-
that at the end of the movie. When they're
Those
in
were
the-
credits, Steve.
No, that would have been good.
Steve,
but no.
those were credits.
The decompression chamber. When they show the decompression chamber, instead of fading to a card, they just bring it up and go, decompression day one.
I didn't even catch that. I
was
must have
that-
been Legoing.
There was
Yeah,
that
I was
awful,
watching it going, why did you choose to start doing that now?
There was that awful thing where it was like danger, like exceeding maximum something, and the screen was like black and white.
Quick,
and
press
it was,
the retard button.
It was like flashing on the side, and I was like, how are they even looking at this? They're like standing there in their helmets, just like,
Well, it's got that movie problem too, where you know they mean business because they have 18 monitors stacked up in one room, and I'm like, how does any one person even watch all of this? That doesn't even make any fucking sense. A movie needs stakes, and because you don't know what the sphere is or does, there's no stakes. Like, so, like going back to The Thing. Almost immediately, the Thing kills a dog and takes over a person. So you understand what the Thing does and how it works. So for the rest of the movie, you know what you're up against as an audience member. Creating tension.
they don't know, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, and you don't know the full extent of what it can do. Like it keeps escalating, but you have a sense of like, okay, that's the danger. This fear, when Samuel Jackson goes and touches it, a ghost floats up into the sphere. And then Samuel Jackson wakes up having breakfast. He's like, I'm fine. And I'm like, and you're like, okay, so this is gonna be like Alien, right? Like something bad's gonna happen to Samuel Jackson. Nope, never happens. Like there's no touch point in the movie or touchstone in the movie to create tension because you have no idea what the sphere wants until one point the sphere just randomly goes, actually, I'm gonna kill all of you, and then it creates like sets fire.
So, and
But that's like way too late into the movie.
And that was
you're
another
like an hour
thing.
in.
That was another thing that was real weird to me is that it says, "I will kill you all," and then a scene later, after a character has died, he said, "Where did the entity go?" And they're like, "He isn't alive." And he's like, "Bring him back." And he's like, "I can't." And he's like, "I want him back." And he's like, "I can't."
Which is also weird too, because the sphere's done this before. So why is the sphere a fucking idiot?
Yeah,
It's
like,
not the sphere.
well, it
is the sphere.
It's not
It's
Jerry.
Terry.
It's Terry. It's Barry.
No, it
it's
is the
fucking
sphere.
Jerry.
They literally say in the movie, "It's the sphere's subconscious is working in me."
It is something along the lines of
It is
that.
the sphere. The sphere's a dick.
But it's taking
This is how the sphere gets off.
it's taking Samuel L. Jackson. It's taking his subconscious and then flipping it into how it wants to. I think. I don't know. Fuck this movie.
It's poorly explained in the movie.
It's not.
They should have adapted it better.
Don't watch it.
I mean, it's explained. It just doesn't really help the tension. It's all after the fact. It's like Samuel Jackson has to be like, "This must be what happened," and I'm like, "That's not how tension works. You don't explain it afterwards. You don't set it up after you did it."
What happens when Jerry gets mad?
I don't care about Terry.
Don't call me Jerry.
Now Barry's kind of scary.
Sphere, fuck it. Don't watch it. Next!
Don't give Michael Crichton your money. Just watch Jurassic Park.
Or his
I guess.
estate.
Yeah, his estate. He's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
until he comes back in 300 years, it makes us do this all again because we forgot.
yeah.
So we watched Michael Bay's, from Brian Shelf, we watched Michael Bay's 2005 The Island on Blu-ray.
And I was going to start this out by saying The Island is actually about 5 minutes longer than Sphere, and it did not even remotely feel like it. To me, The Island was started and over with in no time at all.
It felt to me longer than Sphere, but it felt easier to watch too
It
at the
was
same
so
time.
much easier to
Felt
watch.
a
It-
lot longer than
Yeah.
Sphere. And
There
It,
was
they're
it
saying
felt longer
something.
than Sphere, but that's also because Sphere so little happens in
It just
Sphere.
to me
The Island is rife with incident.
to me, The Island may not be a great movie, but it's
Or a
at least,
good one.
or a good one. But it's at least watchable. And if you want to turn your brain off and just watch something,
Don't say that. I hate that phrase.
turn your brain off and watch this.
So if I hit you with a baseball bat, it's
Yes,
good.
it's
Great.
awesome.
Good to know.
Go for it.
If I
But
take a steel baseball bat to your,
I
to your
do-
to back your
If
fucking
I'm literally
skull,
in a coma and
you could have the movie on.
the doctors aren't sure if I'm brain dead, you can put that on in my room at
You-
the hospital.
and you would love it.
And I'll enjoy it.
watching it again, it's not as satisfying. It's not as engaging as I remembered.
This is not a Snickers. It does not satisfy.
No, that brand did not appear in the film.
I like the concept more than the execution. For
What
sure.
is the island about?
So the island is about an organization that has
The Merrick Group.
the Merrick Group.
Merrill
It's an
Lynch.
awful name.
I assume it's named after John Merrick, the Elephant Man.
Why would it be named after the Elephant Man?
I don't know.
That's why it's a weird thing to assume.
I think it's
then.
just
Well, it's
Merrick.
a very specific name.
It's just
So
Merrick
it's
without
Sean
the.
Bean, it's Dr. Merrick, and I'm like, my first thought was like, what, like the Elephant Man? Why would you do like? It's like naming someone Frankenstein, and you're like, well, it's not related though. You're like, well, why did you do that?
Frankenstein, no relation.
So the island, it's an organization that has decided that they are going to clone humans that pay for it. That way, if they get sick or an organ goes bad or something
Injured.
happens, or even if they want to have a child, they can just call up the company and say, "Help! I need this."
And those people believe that these are sacks, lifeless tissue sacks of
their
organs,
DNA and organs and blah,
and
blah,
not in fact living, breathing, walking people.
blah. Right, which to me
live underground.
is
Ground.
I think is an interesting concept.
Yes, it's
Solid
been done
premise.
before.
Yeah, it's been done numerous
It's
times.
been done before, and the island was sued actually for how similar it was.
Who sued them?
Parts the Clonus Horror from 1979. The film was also about a colony that breeds clones and harvests organs for the elite. Filed a copyright infringement suit in 2005. DreamWorks attempted to have the suit dismissed, but a federal judge determined there was indeed copyright infringement. However, DreamWorks settled the case before it could go to trial.
So never-
an undisclosed 7-figure sum. So they paid him off.
So it's about
Ewan
Ewan
McGregor,
McGregor and Scarlett Johansson.
Black
And
Widow herself,
they-
and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. So Black Widow and Obi-Wan Kenobi are clones, but they don't know it, and they're living in this.
They work for Boromir.
Yes.
and they're working in this
Or 006 for our older viewers.
So they're living in what is supposed to be, I guess, like the perfect society for people.
I guess I should have gone Stark.
Yeah, I was about to
That's the
say, you could
topical.
have just said Ned Stark.
I think that's my favorite role he's played.
I like him as Boromir a lot.
Yeah.
They really humanized that character the way it could from the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like that death scene, man.
His death scene in Game of Thrones got me pretty hard.
So you're saying
No,
he's
his-
better
his
in Game
death.
of Thrones than he was in Equilibrium.
Nah.
Is that on your shelf?
Yes, I have the DVD.
It's weird.
Actually, I don't think you do. I think I have your copy.
Okay.
I was wondering why I didn't put it on the list. I was like, it's not on the list.
Had the DVD. I guess Steve has my DVD.
I'll get it back to you one day.
I'll find the 4K copy.
Have you ever watched
It'll never come
Equilibrium,
back.
Steve?
Yes, I have.
So, okay, so it's one of those videos you borrowed and never watched it.
It's one of the greats.
No, I borrowed it and I watched it, and then I just never returned it because why would I think to ever pick up that copy of Equilibrium? again?
And I've never thought to ask for it back because why would I?
It's very
Because you
telling.
love Gun Kata.
Nah.
Because you love
I like it in video games.
Angus McFadden,
So there's the lottery.
the Shirley Jackson story.
Yes.
I mean,
So-
kinda.
So the
Well,
whole
I mean,
the
yeah.
whole premise, the whole idea behind this society that they live in is that the world around them has been contaminated, and they are being stored in this facility to keep them alive and keep them safe.
Which is weird that they have to lie that it's underground. Because if they were like, the world is contaminated, why would you hide that it's underground from them?
Because they're idiots.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Everyone in charge of this facility is a fucking moron.
It's a real Keystone Cop scenario.
Are
Yeah,
they
That would have been
idiots?
an even easier sell, right?
Yeah, like, why are you doing so much more work?
Are
like
they,
we're all underground because
Like-
it's the only place left that's
but
safe.
are
If I
they
were told-
idiots
if
or
I
is
were-
other than the island.
If I were told that the whole world's contaminated and I was living in this place and the hologram went down and it turned out I was underground, my first thought wouldn't be, well, I should go outside.
They put that up so I didn't feel sad all the time.
Yeah.
my only question is, are they idiots or is Michael Bay the idiot for writing?
Well, he didn't write
Or,
it.
oh, that's true.
No, Michael Bay is clearly not an
This was a
idiot because he
Kurtzman and
does so
Orsi
much-
joint. They wrote the first Star Trek movie. They wrote the first two Transformers movie. Well, the second Transformers movie wasn't really written due to the writer's strike.
Which Star Trek movie? The original motion picture or the
No,
reboot?
the
like
one
the
with-
Abrams.
Yeah,
Okay.
the one with Shatner and Nimoy.
The first two Abrams ones.
Which I would probably still say is my favorite.
Which one?
The first
I
one.
mean, Chris Pike.
The first J.J. Abrams.
J.J.
one?
Abrams, yeah.
Because
It's kind of a tie between that and Beyond. I like it way more than the
guess my-
original series.
I guess
and
my first
movies.
my favorite Star Trek movie is probably First Contact.
Really?
Amen.
Yeah, the Borg one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives it's the only movie that I can think of that successfully gives its main character an arc in Star Trek that's really difficult to do. And so Picard has that whole Ahab thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it actually it gives Patrick Stewart an excuse to act, which is nice. It
You
gives,
don't really hear people ever mention good Star Trek movies in any of the TNG.
that's because the other three are trash.
Yeah.
There's more than three.
The other three.
There's more than three.
TNG ones? No.
No, there's 4 TNG movies.
Are you- are you-
Generation.
Are you counting generations on that?
Yeah, Generations, First Contact, Insurrection, Nemesis. That's it.
Felt like there was more.
That's because they're interminable.
Yeah, that's because everyone but First Contact is awful.
I saw one of those in theaters. I think it was Nemesis, and I don't know
I
why.
was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
I think-
saw First Contact in theaters and thought it was great, and that movie was a hit. And it's for the time, cool sci-fi action movie. Its barrier to entry is pretty low. Like a lot of people saw it who clearly were not familiar with like TNG just by base numbers alone. So the movie is very much like Wrath of Khan. I convinced my friends to go see Insurrection in theaters, and they were so angry at me because that movie takes place at a Renaissance fair where Data befriends a small child and nothing happens.
Yeah, that movie was
that's
awful.
the actual premise of the movie thing.
I mean, it's not really a Renaissance fair; it just looks like a Renaissance fair.
Gotcha.
It's like a planet that looks like it's the Planet Ren Fair.
Oh God.
On Ren
Remember
Fair
someone
2.
gave Renfest the whole planet.
Remember
Ren Fair
Star
2.
Ocean till the end
Alright.
of time? It was basically that.
So anyway, back to the lottery.
Oh yeah, so there's
Yeah,
a lottery.
yeah, we did
So-
watch that movie, didn't we?
So so they're living in a society where they are being kept safe, they think.
Yeah,
And
their
there is
food
a-
and everything's monitored, exercise. Yeah, to be kept in
Yeah.
peak physical condition so that they can be harvested, which they don't know.
So there's a lottery.
They think they're
and
repopulating the world,
If you win,
But they're not allowed to have sex.
which is weird too. They're like, we're going to repopulate the world, but they are also taught not about sex, which is strange.
And don't get too close to.
so what do they think that means?
how does it work? They don't.
Yeah,
they,
what do they think that means?
Well, they don't know what it means, which is even weirder. They don't know a lot of things. It's very unclear what they know and what they don't know.
Well, it's just an excuse so that Scarlett Johansson can be the born sexy yesterday trope.
Well, they're not.
The hot child.
They're also not.
The child in an attractive person's body, so it's okay to fuck them.
They're also not meant to have sex because
Your Mia Jovovich's in Fifth Element is a good example of that.
but they're not meant to have sex because the whole point of them being there is to give birth to, I would assume, the husband of the wife that can't give birth comes in.
There's clearly some artificial insemination.
Right. So, I mean, it makes sense that they wouldn't teach them about something they don't want them to do.
Yeah, I get it.
I get it. It's stupid, but I get it.
It's just weird
But-
to be told that you're going to repopulate the world, but then not be told about sex.
Did they say that? I don't remember that.
Yeah,
They did.
they specifically mentioned that.
But
Yeah.
it's also weird to say you're going to go to the island, which is outside, where this contamination
This
is. But they
movie feels
say-
like there were a few rewrites, and
Yeah.
I feel like a couple different versions. I think there's some holdover lines.
There's
from
an
older
island.
versions.
Even though it's contaminated outside, there's an island that's
Where
not
it's not.
contaminated.
It's 85%.
Well, they're not taught about
contaminated.
wind either.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're gonna send you to the magical island, which is actually just saying, hey, we're gonna harvest your organs now, and then kill you, and probably remake you if they have the money to do so.
It's got a real Logan's Run vibe, visually too, with the jump.
Actually, yes. I didn't even think about that.
So that's a lottery. That's the island.
Obi-Wan Kenobi finds out that they want to harvest
Train
him.
spotting himself.
They find out they want to harvest his
was
force
his
Are
name,
you
powers.
Mr. Moulin Rouge?
That was his name in Trainspotting, right? He was Jack Trainspotting. That's how that
Yes.
movie worked, right?
Yeah, he finds a butterfly, and Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow, is going to be harvested.
Ghost World herself. I believe her name in that film was Jane Ghost World.
So she's gonna be harvested. Dude brought.
Are you Mrs. Ruby Ghost in the Shell?
Obi-Wan finds out that they're killing all of his friends to harvest their organs.
Yeah, Michael Clark
And-
Duncan goes.
And
and he
runs.
says, I don't think so.
He says, I've got a bad feeling about
rated?
this.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Scarlett
He
Johansson.
says your clones are very impressive.
You must
You
be
must
very
be
proud. And that's how the Clone Wars started.
This is a prequel.
Now I'm just mad that when he met his actual self, he didn't go, hello there.
He should have visited Dexter Jetster in future Los Angeles. And by the way, this movie takes place in July of 2019, which is hilarious.
My favorite part of the whole film.
Some of the technology is very believable.
I think in
Some.
the first 5 minutes, there's two things that stand out where you go, okay, we're kind of there. But then immediately it goes out the
And
window.
then all of a sudden they're
When-
like on maglev trains and rocket bikes.
Yeah, the jet bike really threw me off. Like that, I'd say the bikes and the
the nanites, the nanite bugs.
The nanite bugs.
I don't know. I mean, it's not a good movie. I know.
So anyway,
that.
they escape and
Yeah.
they go on the run and meet Steve Buscemi, who is a worker there. Which, by the way, all the workers, the thousands of workers, somehow keep this secret, which is baffling to me.
Before they do that, it's kind of established that Steve Buscemi and Obi-Wan have been hanging out.
Yeah, they got a good friendship going.
They've been hanging out. He's been, passing Obi-Wan.
I wish
some
I knew a
drinks.
Steve Buscemi character name. All I can think of is Fargo.
Yes,
I assume he was John
He
Fargo.
is Steve Fargo.
So he's been passing him drinks, letting him hang out in his weird.
Call him
What would you
Jimmy
call that?
Armageddon.
It's like his
He calls it his office.
It's like his little
it's a
living
gas
room.
work of some kind.
I don't know. It's weird, and he's got his pictures of his girlfriends. Why aren't they wearing any clothes?
Oh, also ballsy statement that Maxim is still around, which I guess they are, but the way they name check it as
They name
like,
check
Well,
Maxim and Esquire.
yeah,
Back-
man, they really should have gone GQ. Who'd have thought?
Back then, those magazines were big.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be
Playboy.
2019.
Yeah.
Like literally, if they had said GQ, they would still be correct.
Yep.
GQ has a spin-off magazine in 2019. GQ is so popular, it created a second magazine.
I've never even heard of GQ.
You've never heard of Gentleman's Quarterly?
I don't read magazines.
Well, it's for gentlemen, Brian.
Yeah, that's not me.
I don't read.
I don't.
It's a popular magazine.
You won't be reading.
It is a men's magazine. It is for men.
It's mostly about men's fashion and style. It's like a style magazine.
I'm wearing
for
an
men.
Overwatch T-shirt. I don't read this magazine.
Yeah, well, he has valid points here.
But anyway,
I'm in a black form fitting polo. I got my black fry boots, a nice logoless polo, and I got a nice black hemmed jeans.
I can't read this shirt.
Welcome to
anymore.
David's Stylecast.
But then again, I'm pretty sure the only one here who's ever actually read an issue of GQ.
Does waiting rooms count?
Yes, I mean that's technically where I wear it.
Oh, there you go.
We have a magazine stack at work, and I don't know whose bringing them in, but literally it's like every month the same issue, or not like new issues of GQ come in, and I'm like, who's doing this?
Are you sure it's not you?
GQ.
I drunkenly used to write a GQ and had it sent to the office.
Exactly.
I don't
Whoops.
remember going into the Sphere, but when I came out, I had so many copies of GQ.
Well, yeah, I held hands at work and said, don't remember GQ or Cigar Aficionado.
Hey, I'd read that.
It's kind of boring. Honestly, it's usually just an interview with a celebrity who smokes cigars.
So
How
most
are you
of them,
today? Do you like cigars? Sure
Hey,
do.
Andy Garcia, what do you like about cigars? And then Andy Garcia texts about cigars. And you're like,
Robusto.
I know words.
Indeed.
So anyway, they're on the run with Steve Buscemi, who gets shot pretty much immediately. And so there's a lot of action. So at this point, the plot is kind of over. Because basically they're going to go find the real versions of themselves in the world. Jaimin Hansu is brought in as an ex-military tracker.
The just moistest ex-military tracker.
So inexplicably, Jaimin Hansu and only Jaimin Hansu is wet. In every scene.
Soaking, dripping, wet.
It's
Like he's a wrestler.
Now, maybe as a man, he runs hot and he sweats a lot. I can relate. But it looks well beyond that. It looks like a glass of water was simply poured over the top of his head before every take. And he's the only one like this. It's really weird and quite inexplicable.
He's obviously chilling in a sauna between each shot.
Maybe he is. Maybe he's
Over
like
an hour.
But anyway, he's hunting them. And then it's just a series of action scenes, including a hover bike chase, which sounds so much cooler than it is.
It's over an hour of chasing and action.
I definitely
It's
remember.
a lot of action.
I remember the action in this movie being better than it is, and for most of this movie, I enjoyed it. But during the action scenes, I checked out, which is not why you watch these. So to me, that doesn't make sense. But
I was pretty bored at the beginning because it takes a long time for them to figure out what we as an audience already know, which is always a problem with a movie like this. Is you really got to get to it. It takes like 45 minutes for him to even realize there's a problem, and you're like, okay, this really should be like minute 20. Ian McGregor's realizing things are not what they seem. But they get to real Ian McGregor, who gets to use his Scottish accent. By the way, Ian McGregor is choking on an American accent in this film for 90% of it. The real version gets to be Scottish, but he has this American accent, and it is holding him back as an actor. Like, it is preventing an excellent actor from being excellent.
He can't deliver his lines.
Because he's struggling. He's struggling because he just can't do it, which is fine. But then why did they do this? And then
the only reason it makes sense to me is that if you were going to have a civilization in this little community that they have,
Why would it not be American?
Well, no, you would. In what?
Why
in what
would
they
you be
have,
raised? Yeah,
Why
no, I
would
understand,
you? Why
but-
would you teach them anything other than the one group?
then shouldn't some of them get Sean Bean's accent?
Maybe, but he's not teaching them anything.
He's talking to them every day.
Is he not like?
Yeah, but
actually-
he's not the one they're constantly
he's-
exposed to. They're exposed to other people who've been there longer.
Sean Bean
Yeah, I
seems
guess.
like more of like
That makes
their
sense.
psychiatrist. He
Yeah.
seems like the kind
another
of guy,
evil
like,
psychiatrist.
right. He seems like the kind of
dun,
guy that's
dun.
like, if they're having problems, then they'll
He's
talk
like
to
their
him,
psychiatrist, but he's also the head of the company.
which is real weird. But I think
Very
I don't know.
hands-on.
I think that's a good thing.
Like, he is Merrick. I just double check. Like, he is Merrick,
Yeah.
right? Like, the company, like,
Yeah.
he built this company.
I mean, you got to be pretty hands-on to make sure it works, because clearly it did until it didn't, and then he had to
Well,
be very hands-on in killing
So
them.
Ian McGregor, what's revealed is that Ian McGregor is developing the memories of the original version of himself, and that
His
it's a,
sponsor.
his sponsor is what they call them, and it's a design flaw in all of his model of clones, his generation of clones. They're going to develop the memories of their original sources. Anyway, long story short, they find the other Ewan McGregor. He's a real dick. He turns them in. There's a car chase. They kill their own Ewan McGregor, and Jaimin Hansu brings ScarJo back, and Sean Bean is like, well, unfortunately, we can't save ScarJo's sponsor anyway, so I guess we'll just have to kill her. And Jaimin Hansu's like, I grew up in genocide, and I was branded as less than human. A new fact about me that would make you think maybe the rest of the movie would play differently with him.
Yeah,
and he
it's,
holds up his scarred hand because they have brandings on their wrist. And then Jaimin Hansu turns on everybody, helps ScarJo, and Ewan McGregor and Sean Bean have a harpoon fight as the cavern comes
Like you do.
It's a double-barreled harpoon gun, and then they're all free, and all the clones walk out onto coal.
Which is a real
Pile of
weird.
coal
That
is what it looks like.
scene. That scene reminds me of
Reminds me
when
of
you see.
THX.
I don't know how to explain it, but it just felt.
I
real
mean,
weird
most
to me.
Michael Bay films look look like promotional videos for something else.
Yeah, it's
He is a commercial director.
Aquafina,
Xbox, Puma.
Yeah, lots of branding in this film.
especially
That's kind of a Michael Bay
there was
special.
one scene in particular. I think it was Obi-Wan picks up a drink, and it's like
It's
it
a
was
Miller
Michelob
Lite.
White.
Yeah, it was Michelob.
Michelob
Michelob
Ultra.
Light.
wow, look
Ultra,
at that. That product placement
Michelob
works so
Ultra,
well on you.
and it was like labeled to the camera like
Yeah,
this
it's
is
done like a commercial,
This is
yeah.
advertisement.
And I will say, Michael Bay's talked about this in interviews, and I do kind of understand his argument, which is, but in the real world, there are brands everywhere. You see them everywhere. So, like in Transformers, when an Xbox turns into a transformer because the cube's turning machines into transformers, there are Xboxes, there are soda machines. What are they supposed to say? It's supposed to say nothing? That's not the world. So I do understand that argument to a degree, because it is true. Because it's equally annoying to me when people go into a bar and go, I'd like a beer, and the guy gives them a beer.
Yeah, and they give you beer,
So
brand beer.
something I don't like about that.
Now, obviously, particularly in The Island, he is really shooting the brands. Like, he's
Yeah.
making commercials within his movie.
Yeah. But something I don't like about it, and something that I didn't necessarily think about until I watched the movie It Follows, is that when you do branding like that, and when you do product placement, especially for that time, something that's popular then, it dates your movie.
Yeah, it doesn't age
And
well.
you will know when that movie took place because of that product.
I would say, yes, that's true, but most movies, even if those brands weren't there, you would probably also still be able to tell when the movie was made roughly.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, like, they made it a point.
Like, there's a lot of things about this movie that scream 2005, aside
Right.
from the brands.
Right. But
The
what I-
hair, like Ewan McGregor would never look like that now.
I guess
Oh,
what I'm
no.
saying
He
is
would never
like,
wear that haircut.
And it follows. I read some interview about it. He specifically placed different things to make it not make sense when it was.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's a choice. Like, you know,
And,
but
and
he-
other movies have done that.
He would, like, the cars in the movie. None
Yeah.
of them look of a time. And then, you know, the girls are hanging out watching TV, and she has what looks like a makeup mirror, but it's a tablet.
Mm-hmm.
And like, he just put in all these different things that basically you would not know when this movie takes place. And I think that's clever. Whereas this movie, it's like all of like the old Xbox logo. I can tell you exactly what year that was.
What's the MSN search logo now?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Bing.
that's what I'm saying. Though the
Doesn't exist.
MSN search
It's Bing.
showed up, and everyone in the room was like, "Holy shit!"
In their defense, though, no such kiosk of anything like that exists at all.
Because we all have cell phones,
Yeah.
and we would never know.
Yeah, it's definitely a movie that didn't predict the smartphone.
Right.
Like that's like every future, like the same way like any future from before the 90s never predicted the internet.
Right.
It's always the thing missing is the idea that the internet existed. Very similarly now, which is anything that was supposed to take place after 2010 didn't predict smartphones.
The Matrix.
Me talking to my watch.
That's not a smartphone,
Sure it
Brian.
is. He learned from his phone.
He got smarter.
He got smarter.
He
from
opened
his
an
phone.
app.
Case
He got
closed, gentlemen.
smart.
No, I
Matrix.
believe the Matrix, at least the sequels, predicted phones that were on rails and popped up for some reason.
They looked like guns, so they
Yeah.
could cock them. I wanted one so bad.
I did too.
You probably already have 5 of them in your closet. Don't lie to me.
No, I couldn't get it.
Are you talking about those awesome cell phones
The
that
ones
made
they
the
designed
loud
and then
And
the
they're
second
only on
sequel.
Sprint's network for some
Yeah,
reason.
I wanted them so bad. I wanted one so bad. I could
Oh my
not get
God.
one.
Yes, I wanted that.
Yeah, no, that phone looked cool.
It's
as
like a
shit.
spring released.
Yeah, I remember we were all
piece.
making fun of it, and then immediately everyone's like, "Oh, I really want one." The Island screams 2005 for a lot of reasons. The same way, like I was reminded recently, like when I just looked at like a still frame from like Star Wars, like the original Star Wars, and I was like, "Oh man, that hair."
Oh, yeah.
like it's the 70s because they don't look like that even by Empire in 1980. They don't even look like that anymore. I'm like, man, look at the 70s. Like you can never escape it. Obviously, you don't have to go for broke the way Michael Bay does with his product placement.
I mean, it pays for the film.
Does it?
Not enough because this movie tanked.
Oh, well, yeah. In this case, no, it didn't.
I like at the end where he's like, "Are you going to dump $200 million of product?" When they're talking about killing the clones, and he literally goes, "$200 million of product." I'm like, is this a metaphor for the movie?
Yes, we're gonna
Kind of
dump
was.
It half felt like a serious movie, and then like half of it was just like nonstop brain off action.
It's
So Michael Bay. Anything that Michael Bay has ever
You know,
made.
it's a weird movie too. It's not a good fit for him.
It felt like it wanted to be a serious movie, though.
Yeah, like it's not a good fit for him. It doesn't play to his strengths at all. It's a lot of people who have to give you a lot of exposition, and it's not his strong suit. Like he's a dynamic filmmaker who enjoys that high contrasting lighting look, and then his movie is stuck in a silver and white only facility for like an hour. It doesn't work for him.
I like the idea, and I would like to see this movie made by somebody else. I think there is the idea of a good movie.
So,
hidden.
Logan's Run.
Yes,
Whenever
go
it
watch
gets
it.
I've got
remade.
some news
Just
for
go-
you.
There's like 17 movies from the 70s
Yeah.
you could watch like right now. You
So
could go watch
I-
THX 1138. You could go watch Logan's Run. So anyway, this was terrible. Is this Michael Bay's worst movie?
No.
Dark of the Moon is still a thing.
No, Dark of the Moon is fine.
Well, none of them are.
Wait, hold on, hold on,
no,
hold on.
no.
Dark of the Moon is
Dark of the Moon's the third one.
Third one.
It's certainly better than the second one.
Yes.
Oh, that's the one I was
Yeah.
thinking.
Or the
But-
4-hour one that ends in China.
But yeah, that is
Age of
his worst.
Extinction?
In
Age of
my-
Extinction is 3 hours
Jesus
long. In all
fucking
seriousness, it's like 2 hours and 55 minutes long.
It seriously feels like two movies super glued
It
together.
feels
It
like an
is. It,
entire
like, really
year
is.
of your life is fucking ruined.
And Last Night is kind of like a nothing effort. It's
never-
also, I think it's the shortest one since the first one.
Yeah, no, the Dark of the Moon I thought was refreshing. Like when I saw it in theaters, I remember because
The third one was baffling. The third one has like Ken Jeong and John Malkovich.
it was so different
Yeah.
from one
And
and
he's got to
two.
go get a job or whatever, and then Laserbeak turns into a pink robot and murders a woman and rips her spine out on camera. And in the theater I was watching it, a kid started crying because it was, like
Terrifying.
yeah, I was white knuckled too. I was like, what the fuck is happening in this robot movie?
I thought that movie.
And then Bumblebee is crying
Yeah.
as they put a gun to his head, executing robots in the street who are begging for their lives. What the fuck is wrong with Michael Bay?
I don't know, but I thought that movie was way more interesting than any other movie that he's done.
Which movie is this?
Transformers movie.
Transformers: Dark of the Moon. It's the third one.
It's the darkest one. It's the edgiest one.
It's one of Leonard Nimoy as the villain.
Man, that's a poor note to end on. I'm sorry. Oh, wow.
You should watch him watch his head get blown off in Dark of the Moon, where Optimus Prime goes, "You are my mentor," puts a shotgun to his head and blows his head off. And then he turns to Megatron, and Megatron goes, "Prime, what would you be without me?" And Optimus Prime cocks his shotgun and goes, "Let's find out," and blows Megatron's head off, and red oil flies across the screen as
Badass.
Megatron's beating robot heart stops as molten lava goes over it. And then Optimus Prime drops his shotgun and looks around, and all the people come together on the bridge, and Optimus Prime is like, "We did good today."
Is this real?
I'm 100% not kidding.
No, that's absolutely what happened.
The movies are so brutal. There's the one in the second one, the old robot Skyfire is like, "Use me, Optimus Prime," and kills himself. And Optimus Prime wears him like a skin suit to go fight people on the pyramids. And the thing is, like, yeah, they're robots and they're animated in this graphic way where, like, no joke, red oil is flying out of them. They're literally crying and screaming in agony or begging for their lives. It is so horrific. It is the most horrific thing. I would never show my children these movies. I'm not approved, but I'm like, well, no, I'm going to scar them the rest of their lives.
This doesn't sound at all like the first Transformers movie from Michael Bay.
It
They
is.
definitely got more aggressive.
Yeah, a little
That
bit.
part
No
changed,
shit.
But
So,
they're
real quick-
like Schindler's List, but with robots. So yeah, Michael Bay's The Island is definitely. I will say this about it: it's not his worst film. It's the least like him any of his films are. It's like an outlier.
It's the least memorable.
It's the only.
That's true.
I didn't. Hey, after we watched The Island, I didn't
I
throw
can't
it at
be-
you like a frisbee.
That's true.
I will watch The Island again.
High
I can't
praise.
believe we're doing a podcast about Sphere and the Island, and each one has a different defender.
I'm not necessarily defending it. I'm just saying I don't hate it.
You should read the screen adaptation of The Island.
Yeah.
Where's the book, Brian?
Oh, that was a fun fad. Remember that in the 80s and 90s? And
I guess.
The,
Every
the
movie-
novelization. They're all written by like Alan Dean Foster. So, Brian, you like The Island?
Yeah.
So, at the end of the shelf, are we keeping Sphere on the shelf? I mean, obviously not. We literally threw it across the room.
No, I mean
It's
clearly
back on the shelf after throwing it.
Oh, you betrayed us.
Will I watch
This
it
is
again?
not how the shelf works.
I
I don't think we discussed the
Brian,
shelf.
this is an intervention.
think I will take Sphere. It's been a frisbee.
All right.
Still probably worth money.
Okay, so
But I'm going to. I do not want to ever watch that again.
Sphere is leaving the shelf. We've done a good deed for Brian, but
The Island.
the island.
Now, the island is staying.
I can respect. I can.
You said that with such conviction with your hands folded.
Yeah,
I feel like
I-
I'm on a daytime TV show. What is
Island
this
is
about
sti-
keeping and throwing out movies?
Well,
more-
for
it's
one,
more-
I'm starting a 4K
What
collection.
daytime TV show is that?
like all of them?
Okay.
So I've decided.
I don't recall Maury Povich ever telling people they had to throw away DVD. Maybe Dr. Phil.
It turns out Sphere is the father.
So I have
The
decided.
Island, you are
Not
not
the
the
father.
father.
But no, I have decided that I would like to start a 4K collection of movies that I deem worthy of purchasing.
Movies that would never appear on this podcast.
Movies
So
that
The Island will be purchased in 4K.
Sphere is out, The Island is in. I do need to clear my shelf of at least a row. So
We're working on it.
We'll get to-
while we go through this, I will absolutely be pulling things.
I think the shelf was a success in that we've recorded something, failure in that we had to watch those two movies.
I didn't mind The
So
Island.
who's ready to watch Sphere again?
Watch it burn.
Somebody will purchase it once I sell it.
God, if only we could meet that person.
You've been listening to Cattywampus. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr at CattyWampusPod. Email us at cattywampuspodcast@gmail.com. Music by Tilly.